Right, welcome everyone. In this explainer, we are going to get stuck into one of the most important tools you'll need for your Matric Maths Paper 1, the fundamental counting principle. So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with the why. Why do we even need to count things? Then we'll introduce our main tool, show you exactly why it works with tree diagrams, and then link it all to probability. After that, we'll tackle some real CAPES exam questions, so you can walk into that exam feeling confident. Sound good? Let's jump in. First things first, why on earth do we need to spend time learning how to count outcomes? Well, you see, this is something you actually do all the time, probably without even realizing it. I mean, just think about it. When you're getting dressed in the morning or trying to decide what to order from a menu, every little choice you make opens up a new possibility. In probability, we need a really fast and efficient way to add up all of these possibilities. Okay, so this is where our main tool comes into play, a real game changer for counting all these possibilities quickly. It's called the fundamental counting principle, or the FCP for short. And what's so great about this principle is how simple it is. Seriously. It just says that to find the total number of combined outcomes, all you have to do is multiply the number of options for each separate event. That's it. Now, the absolute best way to use the FCP, and trust me on this, is with what I call the slots method. For every decision you have to make, you just draw a slot. And you've got to pay attention to the key word here. We're choosing a shirt and a pair of trousers. That word "and" is your big clue, your signal that you need to multiply. It's so important. Okay, this right here is probably the most critical thing to get right. Knowing when to multiply and when to add. It's a classic exam trap, so listen up. If you're doing one thing and another thing, you multiply. But if you're choosing one thing or another, you add. Get that straight, and you're already halfway there. Okay, so I'm telling you to multiply. But why? Why does that actually work? It's not just magic, I promise. Let's actually prove it with a tool you've probably seen before. With a tree diagram, we can literally map out every single possible outcome. So first, you got your first event, the coin toss. That gives us 2 branches, right? One for heads, one for tails. Then, from each of those branches, we draw out the possibilities for the second event, rolling the die. That's 6 new branches for numbers 1 to 6. If you follow each path to the end and count them all up, you get 12 unique outcomes. And look at that. 2 choices for the coin times 6 choices for the die gives us exactly 12 total outcomes. See, this shows you perfectly why the FCP works. It's just a super fast shortcut for drawing out a massive tree diagram, which, let's be honest, you do not have time for in an exam. All right, this is all great, but how does this actually help us with those tricky probability questions you see in paper 1? Let's connect the dots. You all know this formula, right? Probability is just the number of ways you can win, divided by the total number of ways things can happen. The real challenge, so often, is finding that number on the bottom, the total number of possible outcomes. And that, my friends, is where the FCP becomes your secret weapon. It is, without a doubt, the fastest and most reliable way to calculate that denominator, especially when the numbers start getting ridiculously big. So let's put it into action. Say we toss a coin twice. Using the FCP, that's 2 slots, right? One for each toss. We've got 2 choices for the first toss and 2 choices for the second. Multiply them together, 2 times 2 gives us 4 total possible outcomes. Then we just have a look and count how many of those outcomes fit what we're looking for. At least 1 head. Well, there are 3 of them, so our probability is simply 3/4. Easy as that. Okay, theory's done. Now for the bit that really matters. Let's apply this to some actual CAPS exam questions and see how we can lock in those marks. All right, here's a classic for you. A debit card needs a 5-digit PIN. You can use digits 0 to 9, and, this is important, the digits can be repeated. The question is, how many possible PINs are there? Right, I want you to actually pause this explainer for a moment and give it a go yourself. Use that slots method. And just a little hint, be very careful when you count how many digits there are from 0 to 9. So, how did you do? Did you get it? Let's break it down. We need 5 slots for the 5 digits. Now the question says the digits can be repeated. That's key. It means for every single slot, we have all 10 digits available to us. Remember, 0 to 9 is 10 digits, not 9. So that's 10 choices for the first slot, 10 for the second, 10 for the third, and so on. Multiply them all up, and you get a massive 100,000 possible PINs. Okay, let's bring it all home with a quick summary and some really important tips to make sure you don't lose any easy marks in your exam. Please watch out for these common mistakes. So many learners fall into these traps. Mixing up when to add and multiply. Remember, and equals multiply. Miscounting your options, like thinking 0 to 9 is 9 digits. Forgetting about restrictions when the question says no repetition. And of course, not reading the question carefully for those key words like at least or exactly. So here's the main takeaway. The fundamental counting principle isn't just some small, isolated topic. It is the absolute foundation for the entire probability section in your exam. If you can master this, you are building a solid base that makes everything else so much easier. It is a guaranteed way to get marks you can really, truly count on.